And welcome back to SWBA Today. And in today's episode, we're going to be doing the Game 3 recaps, and then we're also going to be doing some Game 3 previews as we have some games that are set to take place in a couple of minutes here. So let's go ahead and start with last night and looking back at these Game 3s. And so bringing that up. And so we got the first game is going to be the New York Knicks versus the Detroit Pistons, as the Knicks take care of the Pistons 118-116, now leading that series 2-1. And so I think that the first key takeaway out of this game was just that Karl Anthony Towns played well. I think that that's something that I talked about with the Knicks, and just really, I think that for the Knicks to go far, Karl Anthony Towns is going to have to be a major factor for the New York Knicks. And so he was huge in this game, and he was really huge as far as shooting the three-point shot yesterday, because he was 4 of 8 in this game. He had only been a combined 1 of 5 over the first 2 games. And so this was huge for the Knicks to have that type of just performance from Karl Anthony Towns, shooting the basketball from deep. He had 31 points. He had 8 rebounds. He was 10 of 18 from the field in 41 minutes and plus 8 out there. So huge contribution from Karl Anthony Towns. And also, too, I think that Jalen Brunson, he was just doing the Jalen Brunson type of things. He was extremely clutch for the New York Knicks down the stretch. And speaking of which, he actually won the SWBA's Clutch Player of the Year award there on Wednesday. And so, look, this is a guy that knows how to get it, done in the clutch. And that's exactly what he did, so to speak, in this game. In fact, he helped the Knicks get to a 7-point lead late with a couple of tough layups there. And so he had 30 points. 9 of 20 from the field, so wasn't super efficient, but I think that the key factor out of what Jalen Brunson did, he was 11 of 13 from the free throw line. So remember, when we left off, I was talking about how he wasn't getting those calls, and he got to the free throw line and he made the Detroit Pistons pay. And so I think that those 2 players played well. OG Anunoby continues to play well in this series, and then Mikal Bridges has played, I think, pretty well throughout this one as well. And so next up, you got the Detroit Pistons, and just looking at their side of things in Game 3. And so I thought that Cade Cunningham definitely played a lot more looser in Game 3. I think that, this was probably one of the better starts for him, even though he was 10 of 25 from the field in 42 minutes. Still, I think that he did a lot of things, and I think he's really just figuring out, what it is in playoff basketball and just understanding the type of looks defensively that he's going to face with this Coach Thibodeau team. So 24 points and 11 rebounds there. I think that Jalen Duren, much like Cade Cunningham, have really figured it out in playoff basketball right now. He's in a good rhythm. He had 16 points and 8 rebounds. Generally, you want to see him get more rebounds because that is really his superpower. Tim Hardaway Jr. played well in this game. He had 24 points. He was 7 of 12 from deep, so he was shooting the basketball extremely well. 3 of 3 from the free throw line. He was 7 of 13 from the field. But I think for the Pistons, really, I think where the game changed for them in this particular one is they did not get a contribution from Tobias Harris. I think he really struggled. He only had 5 points in this one, even though he was plus 10. But he's got to play a lot better for this team to win against the Knicks. And remember, the first couple games, he was solid in the Garden. And so he's got to bring that same type of energy to the team as they are now here in Detroit. And so hopefully they can get a good contribution from him moving forward. But I think that that is something that definitely hurt them. Malik Beasley, strong off the bench. He had 12 points, but he was only 2 of 10 from deep. You also got 18 points from Dennis Schroeder as well. That's why you get these veterans out there to go along with these young players, especially when you need a basket. And so I think that they played very good. And I think when you look at the team box score, key out of this is I like what the Knicks were able to do defensively as far as really just controlling the pace of the game. It was only 14-13 in the fast break points, with the Knicks winning that. And that's just a good indication, man, of just how much the game really slows down in the playoffs, and then how much, possessions become premium there. So I think that that was really first key takeaway. Next up, when you look at the Knicks and what they were able to do with the turnover battle, 11-14. And so the Detroit Pistons lose in that department as well. Generally, that's what the Knicks do well, is really try to get you sped up, and defensively they try to turn you over. And then with the steals, 11-6 there for the Knicks. So terrific job there for the Knicks and getting that done. And so right now, Knicks ahead of the Detroit Pistons 2-1. I still like the Pistons really in 7 here. Let's see what happens as they've got another game at home. And so next up, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Memphis Grizzlies. And look, man, what more can we say about this particular series? Because the Thunder were down by 29 points. And look, they were able to find a way to come back in this game. And I thought that this was just a terrific team effort for the Thunder. I mean, there were multiple players that played well. And I think if you got a chance to look at this game, you just see how deep this Thunder team is. And to make matters worse for the Memphis Grizzlies, they lost Ja Morant. He took a hard fall, did not return. He had 15 points in this game, 5 assists. But the ability for the Thunder to come back, I was super impressed with what they did. And then you could tell with the Grizzlies, they really didn't have it like an identity once Ja Morant went down. I think that everybody was trying to be, maybe the guy that took all the main shots and things like that. They looked very kind of unorganized, I think, on the offensive end. And then Desmond Bane, only 10 points in this game. I think that, if you need somebody to step up after Ja Morant goes down, he certainly has to step up. He was only 3 of 14 in this game. And then you have Jaren Jackson Jr. Strong game. I mean, he had 22 points. He had 7 rebounds. He was -9 in the plus-minus box score, 7 of 16. But still, you got to have Desmond Bane to go along with them. And so just giving the Grizzlies a ton of credit. And this is why I just think that the Grizzlies are primed to get out of the West. And so a terrific come-from-behind win. I think the one player that I do want to give some credit to was Alex Caruso. I thought that Alex Caruso, even though he scored 10 points, he had 6 rebounds, and, that was really it as far as, the major statistics. Still had 3 assists, but more importantly, he had 4 steals. He was just tremendous, I think, with deflections, and that's something that you do not see in the box score. His deflections and just his energy that he brought off of the bench was incredible to really charge up this defensive unit for the Thunder. And so an incredible win, I think, for the Thunder coming back to win 114-108. And it looks pretty tough right now for the Grizzlies as they're now down 3-0. And so next up, the last game of the night, and actually this game played during the Thunder and Grizzlies game, that's going to be the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Nuggets as the Clippers win 117-83, taking a 2-1 lead in that series. And so, look, I think that the first major key takeaway out of what the Clippers were able to do is that they were able to outscore the Nuggets bench. I think that is something that we've just been talking about that pretty much throughout this series. And I'm saying, like, how is it that the Nuggets were able to hang in 2 games and they're not really getting anything off the bench? And so in this particular game, they had a total of 6 points scored off the bench. And I'm talking about the Nuggets. And, comparatively speaking to the Clippers, like, it's just not even close. You had Nicholas Batum. He had 12. Derek Jones Jr. had 10 as well. They had 3 from Patty Mills. They just destroyed the Nuggets off of the bench. And I think that is point number 1. And then point number 2, you have another solid game from Kawhi Leonard. He had 21 points in this one. He had 11 rebounds. He had 6 assists, not any steals or any blocks out there, but still carrying the Clippers when they needed some key baskets and things like that. And the Clippers really got off to a terrific run. Then on the other side of things, when you look at Denver, you look at the Joker and what he was able to do. Again, another triple-double, 23 points. He had 13 rebounds and 13 assists. Jamal Murray, I thought he was going to be a factor in this game. He had 23 points, only 4 assists, 1 of 4 from deep and 8 of 15 shooting. And so I think that at this time, with no bench, then you're going to have to get some more from Jamal Murray. I mean, I think that has to happen. And then one of the things that we've been talking about in this series is the turnover battle. And once again, you see that the Denver Nuggets lose that 16-11. So again, whoever wins that turnover battle, it seems to favor that team. And then the fast break points, you got to give the Clippers a ton of credit, 13-3. And that means that the Denver Nuggets had to earn every basket in this game. They were not able to get out and run. So just some tremendous offense from the Clippers and really getting to their stuff and just limiting the Denver Nuggets. And this is why I think that the Denver Nuggets, look, they're into probably maybe some serious trouble, I think, past this series. And I think that at the end of the day, come the offseason, there has to be more changes to get more around Murray and then also to Jokic as well. And so next up, we're doing the Game 3 previews that are set to take place as we have games that have just tipped off here just a moment ago. And so let's start off with the Boston Celtics versus the Orlando Magic. And so, I think the key or thing that we were talking about in this series was Jason Tatum and if he was going to be a go. And so it looks like that he is also doubtful for Game 3 at this point in time during the recording. And so I'm not sure if he's out there. But, even without Jason Tatum, this team has shown that they can still knock down their three-point shots. They've shown that they can also play at a good pace and not really be slowed down by what the Orlando Magic like to do defensively. And again, I picked the Boston Celtics to go deep in the Eastern Conference. And I do think that even on the road without Jason Tatum, there's a lot to like about the Celtics. They have a very solid bench. I think that has really shown up. And also, too, Jaylen Brown has really picked up the heavy lifting since Jason Tatum has gone down, at least in Game 2. They're getting great contributions from Porzingis. I think that as long as the team can stay healthy, I think that that's the key with the Celtics. They stay healthy, they're going to be just fine in this game. I'd expect for the Celtics to go up 3-0 in this one. And so next up, we got the Pacers and the Bucks. And so, look, I know that the Pacers, have just kind of been, I think for the most part, you could say dominating this series because really from the first quarter on, they've been crushing, I think, the Bucks. And I know it was a little bit closer with Dame Lillard in this last game. I'm curious to see, does that energy change now that they're in Milwaukee? All right. So do the Bucks get a little bit of advantage going home? I think that is the key number one to tonight's game. Next, look, Dame is probably going to have to step it up a little bit more. And I'm not saying that Dame didn't play well in Game 2, but I think for the Bucks to ultimately win and kind of get back into this series, Dame is probably going to have to do some Dame-like type of stuff. I'm talking about probably 30, maybe more for this team to win because it just seems like the Pacers are playing terrific defense where they're allowing Giannis to just go bonkers out there and nobody else has really come to perform. I will give Bobby Portis. I think he's played well for the most part, but you got to get some more, I think, from Dame to help out Giannis. You also need to get some more from the others. I mean, I think Taurean Prince, Cal Kuzma, these guys have got to come out and play. Brook Lopez, where has he been? The others with the Bucks have got to step up because the Pacers and their others, they've stepped up well, but now they're going to be on the road. So now what is the response with Obi Toppin? What is the response to Thomas Bryant or Benedict Mathurin coming off the bench? Those guys are going to have to be just as good as they were in the first two games. And so that's really where I'm at with this. I'm still leaning towards the Pacers. The Pacers have been a lot more clutch than the Bucks, and they just seem to be on that same type of path, that same type of, kind of rhythm that they had last year, which makes the Pacers, I think, very scary. So next up, we got the Lakers and the Timberwolves. That's the last game of the night. And so, right now, this is a 1-1 series, and we talked about this one before, and just looking at the quarters. Really, the Lakers have only played one maybe good quarter in this series. All right. Even this last series, yes, they jumped out on the Timberwolves, but it's just that the Timberwolves didn't play as well as they did in Game 1. And they came back and they've been closing in both of those games. And so now they're at home. I think it's going to be just ruckus at their arena tonight. So I think that they're going to be super hyped up. And I don't know if the Lakers are going to be quite ready for that because I do feel like that the Minnesota Timberwolves have the advantage with the size. I think that Naz Reid is going to come to play a lot better in this one. I feel like that Rudy will play a lot better as well. And I also think that Coach Finch is probably going to make some more adjustments defensively, because I think that you maybe take a page out of what the Pacers have been doing, where you're saying, okay, if the Lakers are going to play this your turn, my turn type of ball, where they're going with Luka, then to LeBron, and they want to continue to kind of attack, I think, Rudy in these pick and rolls and these switches, then I think that that's where you just try to find a way to go ahead and say, all right, let's just turn them into a score and let's take everything else away. And I think that they have that possibility, defensively, to do that. And I think that with Ant-Man, I think that he's going to come out a lot more energy, a lot more better. I think the others play a lot more better for the Timberwolves. And I just think that ultimately speaking, the Timberwolves are going to get it done. I think that this is still going to be a long series. I picked this to go 7, but I just like the Timberwolves, man. And I like the fact that they just have more, not the experience, but they have more from a team standpoint. And I think that they eventually do wear down the Lakers, especially if they go to 7. Again, it's a tough out to get LeBron James out, but this is a 7-game series. I like the Timberwolves. I like how they've consistently played, and I haven't seen very much from the Lakers. And so I want to see that tonight. Do we see additional quarters where they play well? Is it a point in time that we see a trend where they take off at some point in time? I haven't seen that. Does the offense change a little bit more? Because it looks like that it's still very much kind of set up to where it could get into a hero ball type of situation. And if it does, that favors the Timberwolves. And so let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. Do you feel like that the Timberwolves are going to win tonight? Do you feel like they're going to win the series? Next up, what do you think about the Pacers and the Bucks? Do you feel like that the Bucks getting home, this is going to change the course of this series? Next, let me know what you guys are thinking with the Celtics and the Magic. Again, doubtful is Jason Tatum for this game. Do you feel like even without Jason Tatum, the Celtics can afford to go ahead and rest him and still get out of this series? Love to hear what your thoughts are. And lastly, let me know what you were thinking here about last night's action with the Knicks and Pacers. Do you feel like that series is now shifted? What about the Thunder and the Grizzlies? Do you feel like that one is over? And the Nuggets and the Clippers, I just told you about how the bench is just looking very shaky for the Nuggets moving forward. Do you think that they are somehow going to find a way to get out of this series with the Los Angeles Clippers? Love to hear what your thoughts are. And as we always say, look, see the game and be the game. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.